Have you ever wondered why we don't write like this? Instead, we break up our writing into smaller sections like these, and these are called paragraphs. We write in paragraphs to split a longer text into topics, help the reader follow the text, show how different parts of the text relate to each other, and create organisation. Let's look at how we do this. A good paragraph must contain one central idea. Let's explore a paragraph about dogs. Dogs are popular pets. In Europe, 30% of people own a dog, which is more than for any other pet. In some parts of Asia, 67% of people have a dog at home. This is possibly because they help keep properties secure. Consequently, dogs are preferred since they provide numerous benefits. So here we have statistics about dogs, the usefulness of dogs, other information about dogs, but everything here can be summed up in one central idea. Dogs are popular pets. Everything points to this idea. Everything is summed up within this idea. And this sentence comes at the beginning of the paragraph. We often call this a topic sentence. The topic sentence prepares the reader for everything that will come in the paragraph. Next, it relates to the overall title. Imagine you're writing a text on this, Pets in Modern Times. You'll have several different paragraphs supporting this title, but if you look at all of the paragraphs, they all are connected to the title. So the title controls the paragraphs. The topic sentence controls what's in a paragraph. The title controls the central ideas that go into the paragraph. They must all relate back to the title. And a good paragraph fits logically between the paragraph before and the paragraph after. Dogs are popular pets. In Europe, 30% of people own a dog. Then the next paragraph begins like this. Although dogs are the most popular pets, cats are also very popular. Can you see the connection between the two paragraphs? We've moved from dogs onto cats. There's a logical progression. So what should a paragraph include? Well, that depends on the type of text you're writing. I'm going to look at three common types of text: reporting, formal, and narrative. First of all, reporting texts. So that's the type of writing you might see in newspapers or in online articles. We're trying to get information across quickly here. Here's an example of what a reporting text could look like. Here's a story about a dog who rescues a man. A dog rescued a man who fell into a river earlier today. The dog, according to the onlookers, was walking along the riverbank when a man fell in. The dog immediately jumped into the river and pulled the man out. The man told the dog's owners how grateful he was and asked if he could send a thank you gift. We have three paragraphs here. What are the characteristics of these paragraphs? Well, first of all, you'll notice that they're quite short. In fact, two of the three paragraphs just have one sentence in it. That's different to most other types of text. So why do we have these short paragraphs? Well, it's because we're trying to quickly convey factual information. We're not getting into the story in too much detail. We just want to give the reader enough so that they know the news quickly and they know the main facts. So we want a fast moving text. So we'll move from one paragraph to the next quite quickly. Paragraph 1 normally contains this: what, who, where, and when. And you can see in the first line we have those things. What and who comes at the beginning. A dog and a man, that's the who. The what is rescued because the man fell. Where is a river. And when is earlier today. So that's usually the main goal of the first paragraph of a reporting text. Then in other paragraphs we have background, reasons, what people said. And we can see that in the writing here in red. We're trying to create a bit of background so the reader understands exactly what happened. So we're going in a bit more detail here. The dog was walking along the river bank. The dog immediately jumped into the river and the man found the dog's owners. So there's a bit of background, a bit of reasons why the dog did what the dog did, and then something that the person said who was rescued. Now, the last paragraph may look to the future. So we can see in the red writing at the end here that the man asked if he could send a thank you gift. So we're wrapping up the story. We come to the end of the story. Now we're looking to the future. These are some of the common features of reporting text paragraphs. Now let's look at what we call formal texts, such as business reports or academic writing, the type of texts where you investigate something thoroughly and reach clear conclusions based upon the evidence. What do these paragraphs look like in these texts? Well, first of all, these paragraphs will often contain that topic sentence that we spoke about earlier, one central idea, and they'll begin with a topic sentence that sums it up. Such as in this example. Remember, we looked at this earlier, where we saw how dogs are popular pets summed up the topic of the whole paragraph. Then we use evidence, examples, and explanations to support the topic sentence. And we see that in the words in red here. After the topic sentence, we move on to statistics from Europe, statistics from Asia, and then some other words that go into more detail about why this tells us we can believe that dogs are popular pets. It may introduce several points that have their own evidence and backing as well. Look at the words in red and then the words in green. So the words in red contain evidence supporting the topic sentence. In some parts of Asia, 67% of people have a dog at home. But then we explain the reasons for this in more detail. This is possibly because they help keep properties secure. And that's explaining the high percentage in Asia, not the whole paragraph. It still relates to the topic of dogs being popular, but it's exploring one point within the paragraph a little bit more. There's often a mini conclusion in formal text paragraphs, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to have it. This paragraph does have that conclusion in red here. Consequently, dogs are preferred since they provide numerous benefits. So this conclusion takes the topics of dogs being popular, but also tries to include the extra information that we've received during the paragraph, such as the fact that they help keep properties secure. So it's drawing all of the information together. They're popular, and perhaps they're popular for this reason. And in formal text, there are extra paragraphs at the beginning and end. These are called the introduction paragraph and the conclusion paragraph. Now, these are different. To find out more about this, you need to get my PDF on academic English. I have a full academic English guide for you in PDF form with over 130 pages, telling you everything you need to know about using academic English. There's a link in the description below this video. Now let's investigate narrative writing. What should a paragraph in a narrative text include? Well, first of all, with narrative writing, we need to look at paragraph length. And here we have the most variety of paragraph lengths of all. They're sometimes short, but often long. In this example extract of a narrative, we can see that. There's a great difference in the length of the paragraphs. Space on the screen prevents me from showing more, but when we're writing a narrative, we like to have flexibility when we're telling the story. We like to do things for different reasons, as we will explore. The longer paragraphs often happen because we are developing detailed descriptions or progression in a story. And that's why paragraphs are often long. Not so often short. They're often long. Look at the middle paragraph here. You'll see the words in red are not really necessary for us to understand the main points of the story, but they give us extra descriptions, background information about what is going on. Whilst the woman was listening to music and the dog exploring the reeds at the side of the river, we didn't need to know that, but what does that help us do? This kind of information helps us to visualize what it's like to be there in the text. So very often writers will include a lot more information than they absolutely need to, so that when you're reading a narrative, you can feel like you're there. You can feel like you're really exploring and experiencing what the scene was at the time. And that sometimes makes narrative paragraphs longer. Narrative paragraphs often indicate a change. When you move from one paragraph to the next, it's often to explore a change in the time of something or the change in the place. And that's what's happened here. If we look at the start of the second paragraph, we focus on the particular time of the story. Let's read the first paragraph and then go on to the second. So the first paragraph, one afternoon, a woman was walking her dog by the river. She did this every afternoon. But this afternoon, something was different. So here we're providing a contrast between what she did every afternoon and now this particular afternoon, because we want to focus on something that was different about this one. There was a change between what was normal for her and what happened this time. And the move from one paragraph to the next helps prepare us for something that's going to change, something that's not just going to carry on as usual. Paragraphs can introduce speech in narratives. It's very common for writers to stop a paragraph and then give us direct speech, what someone actually said. For example, in the third paragraph here, "Save me," shouted the man. We move to speech that carried on immediately after this point in the story. Narrative paragraphs also can give the next point more emphasis. Let's go back to the beginning of the second paragraph. We can see here that by ending the first paragraph and starting a new paragraph to say that something was different, it draws our attention. Our eyes are more quickly drawn to information at the beginning of paragraphs. So if you want to give something emphasis, it's a good idea to stop your paragraph and then start a new one to introduce something that is particularly of importance. And if you start a new paragraph, you can just create a pause for the reader. Sometimes, as we said right at the beginning of this video, paragraphs are necessarily simply to help the reader experience. If you just have one long list of text, the reader can get tired trying to follow it and not having anything else to help organise the information for them. So sometimes just simply breaking for a paragraph helps the reader to stop for a moment, think about what they've just read before they move on to the next part. And before we leave the topic of paragraphs, I have to tell you about a type of paragraph that doesn't follow all of these rules, and that's called the contrast paragraph. In this paragraph, the topic sentence introduces an idea which you refute. Let me walk you through how this works. So at the beginning of the paragraph, it looks normal. We have what seems to be a topic sentence. It is commonly believed that cats are the most popular pets. We might then have some supporting information. Many people, when asked, would say they preferred cats to dogs. That seems to support our topic sentence. But then we meet a change. However, research usually confirms that more people own dogs than cats. Therefore, it should be assumed that dogs and not cats are the most popular pet. Do you see what's happened here? The actual topic of the paragraph is to show how dogs are more popular than cats. But I began by looking at cats. Notice the language I used. It is commonly believed. Not what I believe, not what evidence points to, but I used it. A general statement of what some people think could be true. So I've set this paragraph up. I start off with some information about what seems could be true, but then I develop it and I switch it using the word however halfway through the paragraph, and then I switch to what is actually true. First of all, this seems to be true. Second part, this is actually true. And this is a common pattern to demonstrate the strength of your argument. You start with the other person's argument or other people's argument, then introduce your own, showing how their argument is wrong. And this is a contrast paragraph where the theme, the topic, is actually not revealed until later on because you are going to twist it halfway through to move to what you believe is true. It's a very common way of writing a paragraph where you want to show how something or an idea is wrong.